Brodes Media.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Before we get going here, if you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are the best. I love the support. I'm nothing without you. Thank you so much. And before we hit play from this point moving forward, if you're looking to buy tickets to NHL games, NBA games, MLB games, NFL games, go to SeatGeek. Use the promo code BRODES at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your purchase. That's eliminating the fees right there. It's a no-brainer. Get yourself to a game. With that said, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. Disappointing effort by the Flyers last night as they get shut out by Jack Campbell and the Toronto Maple Leafs 3-0 in South Philadelphia. Keep in mind, when I was upstairs watching the game from the presser and I see that no John Tavares is out for warm-ups, I thought, look, you never want to see injury on anybody, but the Flyers could escape having to face one of their best playmakers, one of their best point producers. That only makes it a little bit easier. Now, Toronto turned it around. They won 5 of their last 6 entering the night, entering Philadelphia. So, they were finding their groove a bit. But still, you lose John Tavares, you think, okay, advantage Flyers, but they're struggling to score some goals. And while they had a lot of shots, it wasn't as if they had grade A scoring chances throughout the night. Alain Vigneault was asked about it after the game, and I thought his remarks was a little interesting. He said it was kind of the same way both ways through, and the difference was the power play for the Flyers. And, I guess he's not wrong. Technically, he isn't wrong. But, the Toronto Maple Leafs took advantage of their power play situations. The Flyers did not. They were miserable. Ivan Provorov can't keep the puck in at the blue line. Derek Brassard is down by the goal line in the offensive zone trying to establish some sort of setup, but instead it goes all the way back by Carter Hart, an easy kill for Toronto. I just thought that even throughout, Carter Hart had to make more impressive saves than Jack Campbell did, where, you look at the shot distribution, I thought Toronto clearly had more great chances than the Flyers. And that's not to say the Flyers had zero, because there was some, even though I thought the first period was sloppy, there was about a 7-minute stretch, 7 minutes in, of Toronto clearly holding the pace that they want to. Carter Hart having to come up massive. But even throughout that first shift, Joel Farabee was right at the doorstep, couldn't score. Keith Yandel keeps the puck in. Cam Atkinson is right at the doorstep, couldn't score. Short-handed, Nate Thompson and Sean Couturier on a 2-on-1. Nate Thompson throws the puck on net. There was a rebound there. Sean Couturier couldn't handle the puck the way he needed to. There was a defender getting back too, so it wasn't as if it was just clean and he had all day or anything to make the play. He didn't. Toronto got some good defense in there and got back also. But still, they were there. I think that there was another one I'm missing. Oh, yeah, Patrick Brown, 4th line, makes a great play in the defensive zone. He was starting to get angled off, but he still put a good shot on net. Drew a couple penalties. He got tripped up twice. Here's Jason Spezza at 90 years old. Can't hang with the young bucks anymore. All jokes aside, as if Claude Giroux is a young buck these days. That power play is brutal, though. What's going on there? Your best option right now, unfortunately, and I'm not knocking Keith Yandel. He's made a hell of a profession being atop of the power play, but I don't want him to be your best option. I would love it if you had a better option. He's your secondary option, sort of like a Ryan Ellis. And the more and more and more that he's just holding out and not playing, I'm getting concerned. See, at some point you say, well, they're just not trying to rush him back. It's so early in the season. Yeah, but by now, I think that theory goes out the window. Now, there's actually something that it's not, let's just play as soft as humanly possible with Ryan Ellis because we have the long-term play in mind. He's missed too many games for that at this point. And I hate this mentality that I keep hearing. Well, just wait until they have a chance on Friday to snap out of this funk against the 10-1 Carolina Hurricanes on the road. Now, they're due for a loss, but when I say that, I go back and look at their schedule. They just had their loss. It would be different if they won 9 straight, if they won 8 straight, if they won 7 straight. They beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in overtime, and they lost the game before that. That's their last 2 games. So that whole theory of they're due for a loss, well, they just had their loss. They're a scary squad right now, the way that they're playing under Rob Brind'Amour, and it doesn't help that this team is struggling to find the back of the net. Joel Farabee is in a huge funk right now, and I didn't anticipate him and Cam Atkinson keeping up the pace that they started the season with, because that's unfair. That's very difficult to do. That's a tough task, and not many guys in the NHL can handle that. And keep in mind, you're talking about a young Joel Farabee. I spoke about this last year when he put up 20 bingos, and remember, it's a reminder that the season was short. Travis Konechny a few years back had a great season and then fell behind the next season because it's hard to keep up that pace once the expectations are set. And you can't just say, well, he did that. That's his full-on expectations. He's young. There's going to be ups and downs, and that line is, I know they scored against the Capitals. I haven't had a chance to really dive deep into that Capitals game on Saturday night. That Derek Brassard penalty was stupid. Punching somebody when you're on the bench. You go to the box, but he scores anyway. That was a huge win on Saturday night, and I thought it was going unnoticed because the Sixers played as well. There was the UFC 268 card, and the Flyers somewhat flew underneath the radar. And that was, I had some pregame notes on here. No John Tavares, which is definitely large. And then I'm worried about how much time the Flyers had off, considering their last played in Washington, D.C. on Saturday night. How will that impact that start? And keep in mind, Martin Jones played, who was magnificent, but Carter Hart's usage, sometimes there's something about establishing a rhythm, establishing a flow. And he was awesome. I mean, there's no doubt about it that we're getting a consistent Carter Hart to this point, and this is the type of net mining that we would have imagined when we thought of Carter Hart finally being here. He's been steady. He's been steady for sure, and he's been clearly not an issue whatsoever. It's problematic right now that they're not finding Twine more so than anything Carter Hart. He made some ridiculous saves, diving across the blue paint on the power play, wide open in the slot. He comes up large, which is just unfortunately Toronto scored right after that. I believe that was the second William Nylander goal. He was flying all around the ice. That wicked wrister was ridiculous. And, yeah, I mean, the first goal, too, where he kicked it off of his toe, they originally called it no goal. And then when you see the replay, there's a difference between a distinct kicking motion and it hitting off your skate, and you can utilize your skate to angle the way the puck is going. And it honestly looked like the puck hit the top of his skate. Now, it was a turnover by, I believe it was Oscar Lindblom on the half wall, which the puck went into the neutral zone. From there, let me get this right. Yeah, Austin Matthews found Muzzin. Muzzin tried to center the puck. It was good stick on puck. It wasn't as if the Flyers were completely out of whack with the original Muzzin pass. It just ended up being fluky, hitting William Nylander on the top of the skate. And then it's almost as if it hit the skate, then he popped his toe up. So the popping of the toe, whether that counts as a redirecting it with your skate or a distinct kicking motion, it really didn't impact the goal whatsoever. It was fluky, and that's the type of goal that you have to score on Carter Hart to get the scoring going. It's easy to find the net, or it's hard to find the net. It's not easy to score on Carter Hart. That's the type of thing that kind of broke the ice for sure. There was another thing that was in my pregame notes, and that's Ristolainen. I thought he had his sharpest play in a Flyers uniform against the Capitals, and I saw some strong moments right now as well in this last game against Toronto. So I just wonder if he's finally starting to find himself here, finally starting to get comfortable in the new system. Alain Vigneault praises defense. Defense. I'm sorry, I'm getting all over the map here. He praises practice and how important practice is for his system, his beliefs, and his concepts. Well, maybe Ristolainen is finally getting the hang of what AV wants and finally getting the practice time to really buy in and learn and adapt to what AV wants, on top of playing more with Travis Sanheim. I thought Sanheim had a couple nice shots on net, getting it through the point. He put a blistering clapper on at one point, and I thought that was the most confident I've seen Travis Sanheim let one go in a bit of time. So, for whatever that's worth, it's just something I'm keeping my eyes on. But it's clear the focus here is we need more scoring from the offense. And whether it's on the power play, which needs to be significantly better than what we saw last night, or if it's 5-on-5 play too. There was only one power play that was decent, and it was late in the game, third period, when they were already down 2-0. And Claude Giroux, they went back to their old power play setup. Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, Travis Konechny, Keith Yandel up top with JVR in front of the net. And they actually did rock a couple shots. Jack Campbell came up big. They iced the puck. But that was the first time they actually settled down, let a few get ripped, tried to get a screen in front. They just could not bury on it whatsoever. So I'll give the Flyers credit here. Now, it's twofold. I'm disappointed, yet I'll give them credit, and here's why. When they fell behind 1-0 in that second period, they actually came out after that goal and was very strong. I thought that they played a good game from that point and actually had some really solid chances. For example, Couturier walked in. They had 3 guys kind of on an odd man rush with some numbers. Couturier's just wide open in the slot, and he walks into it with a heavy wrist shot. The problem is he missed the net completely. Then JVR, Lindblom, and Lawton generated some noise. There was some net drive. Life in the building. You could feel the intensity in the building rising a bit where we could feel the buzzing happening. McEwen throws a big body hit in the defensive zone. Sanheim with a nice shot on net. Third line creating havoc after the whistle. 2:46 to go. Couturier looking for Braun on a 2-on-1. There's a good back check involved. I'm laughing because here's Justin Braun jumping up in the play, and he did that later on too when he's crashing the net on an odd man rush. I just find it hilarious that, Justin Braun, he's got the numbers to support it right now, but what? 2-on-1 with Cootsy, and here's Justin Braun going up. This is what I like, though. There was an energy trying to be created by the team going to the net, stopping Hart, some punches. I know TK did that too, where Giroux and TK, they had a nice little drop pass along the left side of the ice. It was to the right of Campbell, left side if you're facing the netminder, and you create some chirps. You get chippy. TK's getting in the face. Just not enough ultimately to overcome the deficit at that point, and too much sloppiness. Too much sloppiness. So they had life at the end of the second period. There were a couple scoring chances that I'll say were respectful in the first period. They were countered by too many Torontos, to be fair, and basically that's it. You didn't have enough. I know AV was asked about that third line after the game. He said, look, the more they play this way, you'd have to imagine that they'll find the net. Oscar Lindblom will find the net. These guys will find the net with the way that they're playing, because we're all questioning at this point, do you try and find a spark by creating new lines? And AV does that anyway. They all do, right? It's like in the middle of a game. It's the second period. They're trying to find something. So, hey, let's mix things up and whatnot. And they specifically tried to do that on the power play. Couldn't find it. Tried to make some adjustments in game. Couldn't find it. Heading into Carolina, knowing that's a major matchup, do you look? Do you look throughout the lineup? God, what can we do here? Because that second line lost a little bit of life with Farabee and Atkinson. And like I said, it's hard to demand Atkinson to score every single game, because at one point that was the pace that he was on. But sometimes there just has to be a little something. Maybe it's Brassard. Maybe you move up Lawton. I don't know, but that third line's generating enough right now. Where do you want to mess that up? Do you want to mess up the first line? But sometimes it's little and it's subtle, but it's enough. So we'll see what AV does. But the reason why I don't want to give them too much credit for that late second period push is, why does it take falling behind for you to have that sense of urgency kick in? It should already be established. Hell, you're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs on NHL Network, and there was definitely a fan base that knew that. It was well known. You had the military appreciation night. There was a lot of, and I went to that game before they went to Washington, D.C. against the Coyotes, and you could see the serious difference in where the fans were, how rowdy the fans were. That place was waiting to blow up. That place was waiting to blow the top off of that building. One goal early. If Farabee early cashed in, if one of those scoring chances early went in, Patrick Brown, fourth line buzz, that place was waiting to hear the goal song. But credit to Toronto, because they played a tough game. They played shorthanded. So did the Flyers. Kevin Hayes, Ryan Ellis. It's starting to, and I said this now for maybe 4 episodes for the whole, it's starting to is a bad way to phrase it, bad way to start it. It's already been established that it has affected this team, and it's affected the flow of what's going on there. They need Kevin Hayes back. That adds so much depth to your front. He does so many things. Special teams, 5-on-5 play. And speaking of two-men centermen, there was a play to start the second period where Austin Matthews is twisting and turning along the half wall in the Flyers' defensive zone, and Sean Couturier is trying to keep up with him. Austin Matthews gains space, goes behind the net, and tries to sneak a wraparound and beat Carter Hart, and it goes through the crease and almost past the goal line. They're banging away down low. The fact that you can do that against Cootsy is amazing. Austin Matthews is such a special talent. It's wild the way that you can create separation that way. And that also reminded me, I forget if it was Mitch Marner or Kerfoot who was wide open in the slot. but it was like back-to-back plays where it was, let me see, because I literally wrote it down the same exact way. Oh, it was Kemp left wide open in the slot after Sealer and Yandel can't make a crisp D-to-D pass. Carter Hart makes the save. Marner or Kerfoot, I couldn't tell the number, left wide open in the slot. Carter Hart makes the save. Yes, I repeated that sentence above. Doesn't matter who. Things need to change. There was some ugliness. Keith Yandel fell in the middle of the slot. The puck just went right to Nylander. Carter Hart with the glove. Nylander had a breakaway at the end. Basically, the game was over at this point. He lost control a bit, which changed the angle. Advantage Carter Hart. He made the glove save once again. So here's your positive. Carter Hart is no joke. Carter Hart has clearly made a bounce-back statement to this point, and that's something you can definitely hold your hat on. All right, before we get to some of the Anytime Hotline calls, let me tell you about WinView. WinView is the nation's leading sports predictor, allowing you to compete in pregame or live contests against other people, not the house. Answer 8 questions about each game before it begins, or play in quarter-long contests while you're watching the game to take your viewing experience to the next level. They have a promo right now where you can double your deposit bonus up to $100. For all first-time users, your first deposit will be doubled by $100. That means if you deposit and spend $50, you'll get $100. If you deposit and spend $100, you'll get $200. This is a perfect bonus to take advantage of the NBA, NHL, and NFL season. It's so fun. It's not about spreads, over-unders, or salary caps or anything like that. You literally just answer questions about each game before it begins. There's live stuff as well, and it's so damn fun. I'm addicted to it. I got all my buddies and I in all these contests, and we can't stop. You should check it out. The link is in the description, winview.tv/Brodes, and you can download the app as well. All right, with that said, let's jump on over to the Anytime Hotline. Here we go.
Yeah, this team just can't score right now. It's pathetic, and it's horrible to watch. I mean, which is so weird considering the fact that this team, in their first, 5 games of the year, their goals per game was well above 4. And in the last 6 games, only 1.5 goals per game in the last 6 games. 9 in their last 6 games. That's pathetic. And I know we have Ellis and Hayes are out, and they'll be back probably within a week, or probably 1 week exactly. But I expect Vigneault to shuffle lines a lot. And I don't know what the hell Michel Therrien is doing on the power play, but he needs to get it together quickly, because we cannot have this trend continue for us.
It wasn't that much of an issue before. This is something new and something weird, and I agree with you, though. Michel Therrien has to go back to the drawing board and figure out why they can't get zone entry, and once they do get zone entry, let's settle things down, calm it down, and get back to the basics. As I alluded to, that final power play, it did look better as I went back to TK. They took Atkinson off that. They went JVR there and Keith Yandel, so there's something to that. Maybe that's just something to get back to the basics, if you will, and simplify things, and that's kind of how you have to approach it. But you're right, that has to get better, and I do agree with your assessment that with the goals and the way that they have slowed down, while Ryan Ellis and Kevin Hayes make a clear impact to who this team is and to their identity, it shouldn't get to this level either. So they're probably not what they showed early on, and then they're not this either. They're somewhere in between, and they have to find this consistency. And the issue is they're playing really strong opponents right now. We went through the gauntlet already on what type of teams they're going to be facing over the next handful of weeks, and it does not get easy. So you'll have to beat these teams. And I know that there's always overreactions after one night. Look, if they get blown out in Carolina, now you're talking about an ugly one at home against Toronto and a bad one against Carolina against a very, very ridiculously good team. I get it. There's panic that's in there. People start to get all worried about it and whatnot. I guess it's just too early for me to hit any sort of panic button. I'm still in assessment mode, and I always now, I like to use information over years to help me kind of analyze where I'm at. And I watched the Washington Nationals be a 500 baseball team and then make a spurt, make some sort of push. I watched the Atlanta Braves just do the same thing, where we're a handful of hockey games into an 82-game season, and while I know it's important to win these games and show that you can compete against teams that are going to be in the playoffs, sort of like Washington. That was a good win. Why are we overlooking that one and just ripping them? And I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying more from a broad picture. If they were to lose 2 in a row, it's like, well, that Washington win didn't count, and those good wins at home before they went on that West Coast trip when they went out to Vancouver and got a victory, and when they went to Edmonton and got a win, those are good wins that we can't just pretend don't matter whether they're lacking scoring ability or not during this recent stretch. They're still good wins that I need to remember did happen. I'm still in assessment mode. I'm not in panic mode. I saw Charlie O'Connor of The Athletic tweet this out, and, I think he's a very good reporter. He's very objective and keeps it legit. He goes along the lines of, I'm starting to get, now I'm getting nervous about the lack of scoring, and I just think it's too early. It may be their kryptonite. Maybe 30, 40 games in, we're still talking about it. It's just too small of a sample size to know, especially when they're not fully healthy. Adding your second center back could really change the dynamic of your third line, which changes the dynamic of your fourth line, and it really does impact things for sure on the way you can roll and all of that. So we'll see. Just not in panic mode yet. What's next?
Hot damn, what an absolute dud we just saw. Carter Hart needs to be better. Elaine Vigneault, this defense absolutely needs to be 1,000 times better than what we just saw. Looked like absolutely no hunger, no heart, no hustle, no energy, no anything at all tonight.
I don't know how you watch that game against the Toronto Maple Leafs and honestly say Carter Hart needs to be better. Did you see some of the saves he was making? Did you see how many times the Maple Leafs had some grade A scoring chances and he came out with one of those electric saves where he's flopping and diving across the blue paint and stopping it from going in? That wraparound by Austin Matthews, he keeps it covered in the crease. I mean, look, William Nylander, it goes off of his toe and there's a fluky goal involved. Nothing you can do. On the power play, when guys are standing right in the slot with time and space and all day to either one-time it, which was the third goal, or two, rip a wicked wrister right by you with all that time and space. I mean, come on. To this point, Carter Hart is the last person that you should be looking at and criticizing for reasons why you're losing games. Let's focus on the issue at this very moment, which is they are lacking the ability to put the biscuit behind the opposing netminder. Carter Hart and Martin Jones as a tandem right now have been very important to your success that you have had. I think that's aggressive. Way too damn aggressive for my liking. I get we're frustrated. I get we're annoyed. Should have came out harder, especially with no John Tavares in the lineup. Advantage Flyers when that happens. And that's not to downplay their other skill players. And Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews and William Nylander and Muzzin. And that's not to discredit Jack Campbell for what he's doing. How ironic is that, by the way? Freddie Anderson in Carolina and Jack Campbell, just what's happening right now in between the pipes in certain teams and how it ties to Toronto. But I digress. I don't like the direction of that call. I don't.
Look, it's very simple. This team just can't score a goal. They'd be hard-pressed to score a goal on an empty net right now. And the power play looks as bad as it did last year. It's not just the fact that the Flyers aren't scoring on the power play. They're just not even a threat. And then when you watch the other teams on the power play, whether it's Toronto or Calgary or whoever, you're always in fear that the puck is going to go in because they're creating chances. I don't know how you solve this if you're the Flyers. I mean, I guess you just jumble lines and move guys around, but guys got to start looking in the mirror. Your goaltenders are keeping you in it every night, but the offense is just non-existent.
No doubt. And I don't want to hit the panic button to the point where it's like, we're in desperation mode. I don't think it's time to go to that level. Sure, you have to self-assess and you have to tweak and you have to head in like a certain direction here to try and change things. You're right. With the power play, it's not just the fact that they're not scoring goals. They can't even set up. They can't even get set up in an overload and an umbrella in anything that they're trying to do. The puck's just getting sent down and they can't get through the neutral zone and provide that offensive zone entry. They're lacking in that area. So it just, what you do at that point from all the time that I've spent watching the power play, because I was not a power play specialist in my prime, you just get back to the basics. Get back to the basics, get some shots on net, maybe one pass, don't try and get too cute. Now, the difference is these are NHL players that have so much skill. If there's a chance to fit a puck in an area that's tiny in my eyes, but to them it's something that they, consistently can get done nonstop, well, then it's different. But, you get back to the basics. You do. And I don't want them to overthink to the point where, like, the sky is falling and we have to change everything. At the same time, there needs to be some tweaks involved, and they cannot score. That is exactly where they're at right now. They cannot score. But we just saw them go through a whole stretch of them scoring an obnoxious amount. So which one is it? Somewhere in the middle. Can you get this somewhere in the middle consistently, or is it going to be 5 games of a ton of goal scoring, 5 games of no goal scoring, and then it keeps flip-flopping and flip-flopping? That's when you get yourself into trouble. Because then your identity is inconsistent. If your identity is consistent and you're not getting as many goals as you are at your peak, but you're not getting as many goals as you are during your low ends, you're putting yourself in a position to win a lot of hockey games if you're getting strong net minding. So with that being said, I'm going to shut things down here. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Brodes, and I will see you next time.